You turn on the news and you constantly hear all this talk about a booming, recovering economy, right? But it kind of makes you wonder who exactly is doing the recovering? Because for millions of hardworking people, the reality on the ground is terrifyingly different. In today's Explainer, we're investigating what it actually takes to survive the modern economy when the safety net completely vanishes. We're going to dive into the daily realities of American workers who've been left behind by a system that was supposed to protect them. Take Amelia's story, for example. It is just a heartbreaking reality check. She used to be a sprinkler fitter, right? A union construction worker pulling in a thriving $49 an hour. She had built a really great career for herself. But fast forward to her reality after getting laid off during the recession. Now she works a grueling 6-hour waitressing shift, and she walks away with a grand total of $11.67 for the entire day. I mean, this isn't just a pay cut. It's an absolute plunge from the middle class straight into poverty wages. And the worst part? Amelia is far from the only one experiencing this kind of massive drop. Part 1. The middle class squeeze. When the factory economy leaves town. 13.4%. That was the staggering unemployment rate hitting Milwaukee right after its manufacturing backbone collapsed. That was the highest it had been since World War II. Now, Milwaukee used to be a place where a worker could walk off one job and easily just find another one right down the street. But when these massive pillars of the community vanished, like the 133-year-old Schlitz Brewing Company literally closing its doors in just 19 minutes, or Alice Chalmers laying off thousands, absolutely nothing replaced those stabilizing jobs. It left an entire generation of workers utterly stranded. Part 2. From careers to survival, the freefall of the American worker. This brings us to Percy and his wife, Beverly. Percy had a really solid career as a facilities coordinator for a social service agency, making $54,000 a year, while Bev worked as a case manager. They had fulfilling careers, they were helping their community, but when that agency went under, their income was literally sliced in half. Today, Percy works the night shift. He's cleaning a suburban mall for just $8 an hour. They bought their home for $79,000 years ago, but with their new reality, they're falling behind on their mortgage and just helplessly watching their retirement dreams fade away. And that fear of the future, it is absolutely paralyzing. Amelia put it like this: I don't have a husband that left me a pension. I don't want to work when I'm 70, 75, and it doesn't look like I'll be able not to. The psychological toll here is just massive. She battles severe depression and the sheer terror of aging without any kind of financial safety net. Imagine that. After a lifetime of hard work, the prospect of literally never being able to stop is a suffocating burden for anyone to carry. When you look at her actual income, the fear makes complete sense. I mean, her earnings are just wildly unpredictable. In a single week in December, she made $57 one day, $38 the next, then $20, and finally just $11.67. She gets up at 4 in the morning to do exhaustive physical labor just to bring home pocket change. This extreme unpredictability makes it absolutely impossible to budget. You are perpetually living right on the edge. Part 3. The cost of success. The dark side of the tech boom. $1 million. That is the average price of a single-family home in Silicon Valley. The tech industry's massive success created a severe, punishing economic divide. In this area, anyone earning under $99,000 a year is effectively considered low income. Let that sink in. They simply cannot afford to keep up with the skyrocketing costs of basic housing and food. So what happens to the folks doing the everyday, essential jobs in these boomtowns? Look at Hilton and Diana. They were living in a shared garage inside a trailer park, which was basically one of the last remaining bits of affordable housing for $300 a month. But they were forced to move out. Now their rent is $1,050 a month. That's more than triple their old rate, and it's just to share a house with an entirely different family. They are quite literally being priced out of their own community right as they prepare to welcome new life. And on top of that brutal housing crisis, they get hit with an enormous medical hurdle. Diana is pregnant with twins and is facing a terrifying diagnosis: twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. It's a life-threatening condition where the twins share a placenta, but the fluid and blood get distributed unevenly. One receives too much, the other too little. To deal with this, Hilton has to take unpaid days off work just to see specialists. Every single medical appointment is a direct, painful hit to their already fragile paycheck. This overwhelming everyday juggling act is literally everywhere. Take Elizabeth and Jose. Elizabeth is a high school guidance counselor who has to strictly budget every single dollar just to cover basic bills and wedding debt.
Her partner, Jose, is drowning in student loans, knowing he absolutely cannot afford to fail his final math class. Despite having solid educations and stable jobs, the sheer cost of living traps them in an exhausting paycheck-to-paycheck cycle.
But for Jose, the struggle is not just financial. He is fighting a really intense hidden battle. As a combat veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq, he battles severe insomnia. While he's trying to get his associate's degree in radio communications, he literally has to sit by the classroom exits, keeping his head on a swivel to monitor the room. It's a survival tactic from a war zone that just doesn't switch off. He has failed his math requirement 3 times now, which just showcases the hidden, devastating costs of war on a person's ability to smoothly re-enter the civilian workforce.
Part 4. Surviving the margins? What remains when the money is gone? Survival often demands some truly heartbreaking personal sacrifices. Percy's situation captures this perfectly. I just couldn't afford it, but Cream was my heart. I just had to walk away. Cream was Percy's beloved Palomino horse. Because his income got completely slashed, Percy had to sell his trailer, sell his saddles, and ultimately give Cream away because times were so tough globally that horses were starving everywhere. He simply had to walk away from a major piece of his life and a profound source of joy.
And these financial strains, they really hit a boiling point during the holidays. Percy and Bev saw their food stamps slashed to just $147 a month due to government cuts. They had to stockpile meat for months just to host their annual family gumbo feast. Elizabeth tries to stretch a super strict $400 budget across 21 family members. And Amelia, despite her incredibly precarious waitressing income, she splurged on an iPad for her grandson Anthony. Now, sure, it wasn't a sound financial decision, but it highlights this fierce, undeniable determination to provide joy for the people they love, no matter the cost.
People also fiercely protect the things that define them. Amelia's prized Harley-Davidson Sportster sits in a cold garage, dusted off occasionally. She bought it back when she was making 5 times her current wage in construction. People constantly tell her to sell it, to pay bills, but she absolutely refuses. That bike isn't just a vehicle. It's a symbol of her past independence, her identity as a strong union worker, and the freedom to just get up and go. It's a vital physical reminder of who she is outside of her economic struggle. Yet, despite all of this, the profound gratitude these families show is genuinely inspiring. Jose says, "I'm thankful for being here today, being able to eat around my family, doing well," crediting his single mother who worked multiple shifts to raise 4 boys for his opportunities. Percy gathers his blended family around a massive pot of gumbo, urging the younger generation to aim higher and be better than he was. When the economic safety net completely fails, it is this community's support and these deep familial bonds that ultimately catch them. Which brings us to a final, really critical question. If the economy has officially recovered, why are the hardest workers still in an economic freefall? We've seen today how structural changes, from the total collapse of manufacturing to the hyperinflation of tech hubs, have changed the rules of the game permanently. So I want you to ask yourself, what does recovery actually mean if it doesn't include the very people holding the whole thing together? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the hard questions and keep learning.